This is Back Roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. I am Cesar Delgado on today. Crowd Rot was playing with him for last year. Now he's joining with me in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's Dylan Mangel from the University of Nebraska. This is Back Roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. Crowd Rot was playing with him for last year. Now he's joining with me in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's Dylan Mangel from the University of Nebraska. Hey Dylan, how are you?
I'm good, Caesar. Thanks for having me on.
How was your travels?
It's been slow. I've been home for several weeks, just having a chance to settle in and get ready for the planting season, which is coming up fast. But I'm lucky I get to go down to Nashville next week to the Top Producer Summit. So I'm excited to talk to those growers down there about soybean cyst nematode. And that's a special group of growers. Those are growers that are really trying to push yields and push the envelope, and uh, they're really forward thinking. So I'm excited to talk with them and hear what they're doing.
Good to hear that.
Mhm.
That's exciting.
It is.
Dylan, how are things in the yield right after the plug on the crown root rot in eastern corn belt?
Yeah, so my collaborator Tamara Jackson Zims here at Nebraska has been doing a lot of research on crown rot in the Corn Belt over here. And they've actually been working across the whole Corn Belt. So they've had an industry partner and they've just been bringing samples in from all over the region. And she has two students working on this. Their names are Chakoti Makuma and Christopher Termundi. And they're basically looking at crown rot, trying to figure out what the real cause of this disease is. And it's been a really confusing disease because it's not clear what the pathogen that's causing most of the damage actually is. So they've been bringing a lot of samples back and really digging into those and trying to find which fungus is in there causing that. And a lot of them turn out to be species of a fungal genus called Fusarium. So it's a common fungus, it's all over the place. It also causes diseases in wheat and soybeans. Uh, but it looks like that might be a contributing factor to this crown rot that we've seen. And I think they experienced quite a bit of that across the region last summer.
It yields, bring it down to the corn crop with the fungi.
Yeah, so the yield impact from this will often show up as dead plants. So they don't see it impact the entire field, but they will see just certain plants mid to late season will just start to look stressed and wilted. And then you'll come back and you'll see several green plants in a row, and then there'll just be one dead plant. And they call that a ghosted plant. So when they see that, they basically, the fungus got in there and clogged up or impacted the ability of that plant to move water. And if it can't get water up, it's just going to dry out and die. So the amount of those ghosted or dead plants is going to impact the yield loss. And it's not something that seems to be wiping out whole large areas, but if you have even a small percentage of those in a field, it can impact the yield by a corresponding percentage.
How was the maximum of the yield with it?
I don't know what the worst situation they've ever seen. I've seen pictures though where I mean, maybe more than 10, 15, or 20% of plants in an extreme area or in a small pocket might be impacted with it. So
Mm.
it could impact the yield up maybe up to that much. But I think the potential is a lot higher depending on how they're impacted. And um, if you lose more, you're going to have more of that. So it just depends on those conditions. And I think maybe a driving factor in this and a lot of soil-borne diseases is going to be soil moisture and early season temperatures. So in this case, maybe if you get a pocket of the field that is wet, has more moisture there, the fungus is going to thrive and do a little bit better. And in cooler temperatures, that seems to help the fungus get into those plants a little bit better. So in areas where you get those perfect wet, early, cool season temperatures, it could infect more of those plants and kill them.
Wait and see. We
Yeah.
can do for this year with this fungi.
Uh,
So for this year, what you could do is watch your fields. If you're not sure if you have this or not, watch your fields and see what's present. Uh, if you have plants dying like that, it's really hard to go and look at them and tell exactly what it is. So I know Tamara's research team here is still working on this, and Iowa has projects working on this too. Um, and maybe Illinois does as well. So reach out to your local extension service in whichever state you're in. And a lot of our extension services work together. So if you bring samples in, we'll typically try to get that information to whichever team is doing the most current research on it. Uh, or you could send them into university diagnostics clinics, which will then take those plant samples and help you identify exactly what the issue is. In this case, a big distinguishing factor would be to determine that it's actually a fungal issue and not something else. Because if it is a fungus, there's seed treatments that are going to be effective generally against fungi. And while we don't know everything about this one yet, I think we can assume that there's some impact or benefit to be gained from having a seed treatment, a fungicidal seed treatment on those seeds early in the season, like many corn crops, many corn plants typically do.
We know that you were traveling in the Midwest with the farmers with a meeting. What is their respective with fungicides?
Yeah, so we do a lot of outreach and talking to growers about fungicides, and we're traveling. Right now, we just finished our winter Nebraska presentation series where we travel around the state and talk about that. And I think many other states also have a lot of events in the month of January and February, some into March as well. So look at those local extension services and see what they're offering in your areas. We also have meetings throughout the year. We go to, we have representation at a lot of industry and regional meetings as well, like the Top Producer Summit next week. Horacio is going to be down in at the Commodity Classic coming up here, I believe. And we will be around this summer as well. I don't know. I think we might go to the Farm Progress Show. And then in Nebraska, we have a big one called Husker Harvest Days. We also do another series where we have events at a lot of our state research farms. So Nebraska, our university has several farms around the state. We'll have field days at all of those where we can talk to the local community. And I know other universities across the Midwest do that as well. So if you're not familiar in Illinois with Boris Camilletti, he's been leading. He's really the national leader, or one of them, in red crown rot on soybean. So he's been really
uh,
focusing on that as it's become an issue in Illinois, and um, really kind of tracking how that's going to impact the region. And he's the leader really across the I states as this has spread. It seems to have impacted his area hardest. So we look to him for some of this, and he's a newer faculty as well, but he's moving really fast. So while we don't have red crown rot on soybean, for example, in Nebraska, we're learning ahead of its progression into our state from Illinois and Indiana and Kentucky is doing a lot of good research on this as well. And then Ohio just found red crown rot last summer for the first time. So Horacio Lopez Nicora at Ohio is just starting to get some really good research on that as well. So expect a lot of good data out of those universities for the next couple of years. And then in Nebraska, red crown rot of soybean, it was just found in Minnesota, about 75 miles from us. So I think we anticipate that it's here already or coming here soon. So we're going to be working on it as soon as we find it and get our hands on it. We're going to be working to help alleviate that problem.
Because anyone else is worried about the disease for this year now?
I think a lot of people are worried about it. It seems to have spread really rapidly around the Midwest. Illinois, Indiana, Missouri has really experienced a lot of spread of that. It's moving west and it's moving northwest. It's maybe moving east, but we haven't seen it so much in that direction. I imagine Ohio is going to see a lot more of it soon, though. So I think there's a lot of concern, but one factor to help alleviate some of that is that we know we have seed treatments that help with red crown rot on soybean. So we have effective tools out there. We're finding more effective tools and trying to help perfect management recommendations.
What is your final thoughts about new technology on seeds treatment?
Well, there's a lot of cool stuff coming out from industry on seed treatments. Uh, we've got Syngenta's coming out with Victrado. That just got a label, and that's going to be coming out next year. That'll be available, or this year, I guess in 2026, that'll be available. I'm excited to see what that can do in the field. They've really talked about it as sort of a next step up from Saltro, so that could really impact sudden death syndrome soybean acres. So when deciding on seed treatments, really try to target those in fields where you know you have a history of the disease. That's where they're going to be most likely to pay off. We also have regional data that just came out, several years of data from the North Central Soybean Research Program funded projects, where we looked at a variety of seed treatments, and we saw that there were several good options for control of sudden death syndrome in soybeans. So talk to your local advisors, see what's working on these problems in your area, and try and always, if you're going to use a seed treatment, pair it with a resistant variety. So start off with a good variety if you're going to put a seed treatment out there too.
Thanks, Dylan. I enjoyed our conversation for today.
I enjoyed it as well. Thanks for having me on.
This is Dylan Mangel from the University of Nebraska on back roads of Illinois.